Hey everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking on your Wednesday? That means hump day, and we here at the Tom Gulley Show, as always, hope you are receiving the full, total, and complete amount of hump that you so desperately crave and you so rightfully deserve. Let me tell you about the invention of color television. We're going to cover the whole thing. It may not sound that interesting, and indeed is very technical. I actually understand all of it. I'm not going to get real technical. Mostly what I'm going to do, my goal this evening is to make you go, are you kidding me? Black and white? Yeah, because black and white, I'm not going to get into it too far. First thing I'm going to do is say, please like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, do all those absolutely free things. The things that don't cost you a cent, to help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. Plus, we do have super chats. We do have memberships. We love it when you do that for us because it helps us pay the bills around here. And if you look in the crawl at the bottom of the screen and you turn on your gifted memberships, it's hard to believe. But there are people in the world that come into our chat room that out of the goodness of their heart, out of the charity and fellowship that they possess within their soul, they will gift you a free membership. And then you can get all that slightly vulgar content that we do on the weekend that I'm too scared to put out onto the internet in general. There. Hey, guess what? My good friends at StreamYard, without warning, have changed a bunch of stuff. And when they did that, for some reason, I'm not streaming live right now to Sonic Asylum Radio. Thanks, StreamYard. You're supposed to be helping, but you're not helping. You're just not helping. You should be helping, but you're not helping. You're not helping at all. As we are covering the invention of color TV, I'd like to point out that the Tom Gulley Show is presented to you each and every evening in living color. There you go. We spare no expense. 100% in living color. Yeah, it's the truth. It's the truth. There was something else I was going to mention, and I can't remember what it was. I may have written it. Oh, I have no show topic for tomorrow. So if there's something you want me to do a show about, let me know. Gilman, earlier in our chat, wants me to do a show on the movie Hoosiers. Definitely going to do that for you, Gilman. Won't be tomorrow, because we've done way too many TV shows this week and movies and stuff. But we will do it next week. Next week, Gilman, just for you, we'll do a show on, you got it, Hoosiers, the movie, which I was on the set of. How about that? Because I'm from Indiana. Nah, I was there when they were making that sucker. Yeah, I'm in a scene or two probably, in the crowd, but still. In the big ball game at the end of the movie, that's the part where I'm in the movie. I haven't gone through the Blu-ray frame by frame. If you're from Indiana, the movie Hoosiers, it's the Bible of Indiana basketball. Anyway, let me tell you about the invention of color TV. Everybody today thinks color TV, that's the only kind of TV, and why not? Because everybody has a color TV, and I don't even think they make black and white TVs anymore, and if they do, nobody's buying them because it's cheaper probably to get a color one. But way back when, all of the televisions were black and white. There were no color TVs, kinda. They knew about color TV, and color TV had kind of been demonstrated, as I'll tell you about in just a second. But all the TVs that people owned were black and white. In fact, in 1953, when TV wasn't even a big deal in the United States, right? I mean, not everybody even had a TV. There were 28 million black and white television sets. It's the truth. I could get into the whole development of color TV as it relates to the human eye. I'm not going to do. See, this is one of the changes they made to help me on StreamYard. Instead of it defaulting to the setup that I want, it goes to this one because they're helping. Anyway, so the human eye has a detection system. It's called your retina. And there's two types of light dissections, rods and cones. Rods capture light and dark and shapes and figures, and cones detect color. And forget all that. It's really complicated. You don't want to hear about it. You so don't want to hear about it. Now look, television, color television, the theory of color television actually began, and believe this, way before TV in 1908. Oh yeah. And there was a guy named John Logie Baird, and he was a British guy, and he did lots of pioneering on the early concept of television. But his ideas of how to make a television were mechanical. They weren't electronic. They were mechanical. It was a mechanically driven thing, like an engine or anything else that's mechanical, like a can opener or something. It was mechanical, okay? And it had to do with spinning wheels and mirrors that reflected images that were captured by a transistor. And this was a problem also. There was no way to transmit this signal. You couldn't send it to anyone else. The camera would get it and it would show it on a monitor, but you couldn't transmit it through the air to another person, which, if you know anything about television, kind of ruins the whole deal. Mario says, you should have started this show in black and white. You know, here's the thing, Mario. Unless I was using OBS, which I used to, or I guess I could have used Cam Twist, which makes not a very clear and sharp picture. The only way I have of doing that is to project an image like this one that's already black and white. And I had considered that. So thank you for pointing that out, because I did really consider that. By the way, that's the point which you will get directed directly at you if you super chat or buy a membership. It's the most highly coveted honor that a viewer of the Tom Gulley Show can receive. At any rate, in 1935, in March of 1935, actual black and white broadcasts of a TV signal began in Germany, all right? But as far as the United States is concerned, in 1941, the first meetings, okay, meetings about how to create television for broadcast, just like we had radio in this country, started. And they were started by a group that's very important and, in fact, exists today as the standard for how we do things on broadcast television, called NTSC, the National Television Standards Committee. And you might remember, some of you, when you would get tapes from overseas. They have in, like, for instance, Britain, a system called PAL, P-A-L. And we have NTSC, and you would have to convert it from PAL to NTSC, which involves scan lines and rate of scan and things I don't want to get into with you, because this show is boring enough to begin with. Anyway, I mentioned to you the all-mechanical color and these spinning wheels with mirrors and all this. It's mechanical. It requires a mechanical way of getting this to happen, which really isn't that advantageous, because the signal itself, and certainly the cameras, are all electronic, even with the tubes that they used in TVs and such back in the day. Not that good. Not that good. By the way, this is a photo here of an ad from RCA. And RCA, a huge pioneer in early television. And they pioneered television for one real good reason. They wanted to make the TV sets. They were already into radio and phonographs, record players, and everything else. So that's why they wanted to do it. This is from actually 1959. And it says, my second most prized possession. And the reason it says that, I'll tell you in a second. Because color TVs now, they can be pricey. But back then, whoo mama, whoo baby, they were super duper expensive. Super expensive, right? The first practical demonstration of television of any kind, black and white, was on July the 3rd, 1928. And that's the first time television was transmitted in color. But it used those scanning discs I mentioned. And the receiving end of that signal was 3 spirals of apertures, with each spiral a different primary color, red, green, and blue. And that sort of persists to this day. That's also a thing. The red channel, the green channel, and the blue channel, which when you overlay them create all the many vivid levels of color that we're used to today. The demonstration was a young girl wearing different colored hats. Different colored hats. Yeah. She was just wearing different colored hats. Probably not going to be a big ratings winner. The girl wearing different colored hats. Her name was Noelle Gordon. She later became a TV actress in the soap opera Crossroads. And this guy, John Logie Baird, he also made the first color over-the-air broadcast in 1938. But it was, again, this mechanically scanned 120-line image. Now, the TVs that we have today are the broadcast standard for television, 525 lines. So as you can imagine, 120 lines, not a lot of clarity or resolution. Bell Laboratories also demonstrated some things in the 20s, but the biggest problem as television started to be developed, and there's a few things that happened, okay? RCA built a system in 1940 just to demonstrate. They just wanted to show the members of the FCC that it could be done, okay? There were problems. It was way more expensive than black and white TV, and the picture was very, very dim. And the reason for that, I'll show you, is that the method of display, a cathode ray tube, a monitor, if you will, they didn't have the technology to make it very bright. So it was very, very dim, which is why a lot of people watch television in the dark, so they could actually see the screen. Yeah. This is actually a projection system. It's not actually what they were using at the time during those experiments, but anyway. And by the way, at the time, there were 3 screens, one for each color, and they were overlapped on each other. So that also created a problem. Yeah. Now, eventually, and these were all still mechanical ways of showing television. They weren't fully electronic. In 1940, though, that John Logie Baird, that brilliant guy, he came up with a fully electronic system that he called telechrome. Telechrome. And I'm showing you now a picture, yes, of the first live image, right, that they ever did. They took a picture of it, apparently. Her name is Patty Naismith. And it used 2 projection CRTs. It used 2 of these to make that color. That's a CRT, a cathode ray tube. It's shooting rays onto a screen to make that image. Totally electronic, right? The way that happens is there's these things called phosphors that are excited by the light that hits them. So if you have an image and you shoot that image onto a screen, the various intensities and shapes of light are excited. The phosphors get what they call excited. Huh? Sexy, right? And those are what create the image. And that was the first practical demonstration of how color television could have been done. The first practical. Now, over here in the United States, after the war, after World War II, television had already sort of began. There were stations that broadcast television, mainly in big cities, mainly in New York. And there were some television sets, not very many. But the FCC could see what was coming, and so could broadcasters. They were inundating the FCC with requests to set up brand new television stations. The FCC was worried because of the bandwidth of TV. TV takes way more bandwidth than radio does, way more. And they were worried that all of these new TV stations, this broad spectrum of TV stations, would clog the bandwidth. So they were trying to figure out who are we going to give these to and how many to create the channels, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4. So the FCC, which is in charge of VHF and UHF, very high frequency and ultra high frequency bandwidth, they set aside a bunch of these for television broadcast and started asking for demonstrations of color systems. They didn't really know what they wanted to do as far as it concerned. How are we going to have a standardized version of broadcasting color TV? Black and white TV, they already kind of knew what that was about. And they said, okay, that's fine for whatever that is, but there's not that many TVs out there, and there aren't that many TV stations. If color's the thing of the future, let's go ahead and figure out how that's going to be done. Well, they started getting various proposals from people, but they were not that great. They were 144 fields, which is a field is 2 pictures in half a second. Television is 30 frames per second. Film is 24. And there's 2 fields per frame. So these only had 405 lines of scan, which isn't terrible because we went to 525, but it's not that great. There was a dot sequential system where the cathode ray tube was being scanned and there were dots that were broadcast in sequence to create the entire screen. Sounds a little kooky, but stick with it. CBS, Columbia Broadcasting System, they had by far the best version of doing this. And it won the head-to-head testings that the FCC did every single time. Yeah. Everybody in the business knew that RCA was working on a dot sequential system. And the thing about theirs was it would be compatible with the black and white broadcast method. That was a big, big deal. And let me tell you why. As TV started to get more and more popular, more and more people were buying television sets. And by 1953, there were 23 million TV sets, black and white, in the United States. At this point, all of these other systems that people were developing were just scrapped because the FCC said, at this point, we can't get rid of these 28 million TV sets. We can't come up with a new system and say, hey, that set you have, it's obsolete. You paid a lot of money for it. Everybody's using them. 28 million of them, we're going to trash them. They figured out, we really can't do that. So they had to have a version that was compatible with black and white so that if you had a color TV, you could see shows in color and black and white. And if you had a black and white TV, you could see the black and white programs. And I'll tell you about how long it took for that to happen, for TV stations to even start broadcasting in color. You could see those shows that were broadcast in black and white, and you could see those shows that were broadcast in color, both of them. CBS started demonstrating their color system to the general public. And they started showing an hour of color programs. They had one color TV camera, just the one. They would show an hour of color programs Monday through Saturdays. And it was at a place. You had to go to that place and watch it. It was very, very, very popular. In a public building, it was a 16-inch screen. This was so popular, because they only did it for a week or two, that they did it again, and they added several evening programs. Then CBS started a limited schedule of color broadcast from its New York station, Mondays to Saturdays, in November of 1950. And they made, by hand, they weren't manufacturing these things. They were prototypes, 10 TV sets, and scattered them around so people could watch these shows. They also extended these broadcasts not through antenna transmission, but through coaxial cable. Yes, cable TV, to Philadelphia in December and to Chicago in January of 1951, making them the first network color TV broadcast. After a series of hearings in 1949, the FCC said that the RCA system and another system by a company called Color Television Incorporated were filled with so many technical problems, bad reproduction on the screen, expensive equipment, and they formally approved the CBS system as the standard. In 1950, RCA sued. The lawsuit didn't win. And CBS started to expand their schedule. But that whole thing was doomed because of the lack of TVs available. There just weren't any televisions available. So this CBS system that they had approved was kind of inconsequential. Didn't really matter. Nobody could watch it at their house. There weren't really enough TVs being manufactured. So, even though I think about 200, there were only 200 TV sets that were purchased and shipped, and only 100 others that had been sold, CBS just stopped broadcasting color in 1951. Partially because of the Korean War and the necessity to use materials for that, and they didn't want to manufacture TVs. But CBS bought back all of the televisions that they'd sold because they did not want to get sued. Yeah. So they start thinking about it again after the war, and they have another meeting of the National Television Standards Committee. And during that time, RCA's dot matrix system had been improving the quality of what they were doing and, frankly, had perfected it. And they also were able to manufacture the hardware elements to create the televisions. So it wasn't just like they came up with a great system like CBS had done previously. They were also able to tell the FCC and, most importantly, the National Television System Committee, we can make these. We're not going to have a problem. We're RCA. We've been making stuff for 1 million years. What, are you kidding me? And that's when CBS said, look, we're just going to stop trying to get into the TV manufacturing business. We're just going to do the broadcasts and have TV stations. And they told the FCC and Congress, we have no plans to continue developing this system. That dot matrix system, basically a dot that contains the 3 colors, that won the day. There you go. The first network broadcast to go out over the air in NTSC color, the color that we have today. If you happen to have an antenna and watch your TV over an antenna, that system, it was a performance of the opera Carmen on Halloween 1953. There you go. That is how basically color TV came into play. I can get into the technical part of it, and I will just a little bit here in a second. But let me just talk to you a little bit about how long it really took for color TV to become widespread in this country. It wasn't until 1965. Okay, they approved all this stuff in the early 50s. It wasn't until 1965 that primetime television had most, and that's nighttime television by the networks, had most, not all, not even all, of its shows produced in color. 1965. And it wasn't until the very next year, 1966, that all primetime shows were in color. Now, you might say, oh, 1966, that's pretty early. Keep in mind, that's prime time. The rest of the broadcast day, mostly black and white, your soap operas, your news programs, everything else, black and white. It wasn't until 1972, that half of the televisions in the United States were color. And there's a doggone good reason for that. There's a daggone good reason for that. And I'm going to tell you that reason. Here's some of the prices. And a number of companies got into the television manufacturing business in the mid-50s. The mid-50s, when there really was hardly any color being broadcast. A television around this time would cost you $1,175. That's $13,000 in today's money. You could get a car for less than a television back then. And in 1954, a color model from Westinghouse, let's just say, I thought I had a picture of one. I don't. Well, it's in the thumbnail of this show. I suppose I could go get it, but I'm not going to. It was about $15,000 in today's money. That's the reason color televisions took so long, till 1972, for half the TVs to be in color. 1972. Not even all televisions were in color. Half the people in the country had black and white TV. And the reason was the cost. A color TV was expensive. It cost a little money. It did. It was expensive. As they started producing more and more of them, of course, the cost came down. And as the manufacturers figured out how to do it more and more cheaply, the cost came down. So there you go. Let me just show you a few things. Here's that John Logie Baird and his mechanical television system of how to show color TV. And keep in mind, this was probably an 8 or 10-inch screen. The screen was not very big at all. Not very big at all. And I spoke to you earlier of the three patterns of television, right? So what you had was on the left there, that's your black and white signal. That's your black and white signal. And the middle, and this is a sort of a conceptual illustration. The middle portion of it is the overlay. You're putting color on top of that black and white signal. And you can see in that middle square the different colors. Okay, now typically this was done with 3 different channels, red, blue, and green. And typically on a television, the green channel was the black and white channel. It was the channel that held all of the sort of picture elements by themselves, as depicted with the square on the left. But when you overlay the picture portion of it, the actual image, with the colors, you get the screen on the right, the color portion of it. And that's the way we still do it to this very day. Now, we don't do that on modern digital LED televisions quite in the same way, but we do it at the broadcast level in the same way. So there you go. In 1964, only 3.1% of households in the United States had a color TV set. Yeah. And that's because they just were too expensive. Nobody had them. And because nobody had them, the network wasn't broadcasting them. So why have one? There you are. Disney was one of the companies that filmed, because Disney had the wonderful world of Disney. They were one of the people that had the foresight to film many of their shows in color so that they could be shown on NBC, and all the feature-length films were in color, so now they could be telecast in that format. And to emphasize that portion, Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Disney was rebranded Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color. And it kept that title until 1969, when color ceased to be such a, amazing thing. By the mid-70s, the only stations broadcasting in black and white were a few high-numbered UHF stations in small markets, Channel 67, and a handful, of low-power repeater stations in those markets. A repeater station is a station that takes a signal from another TV station in a very, very, very small market and just rebroadcasts their signal. By 1979, even all of these had converted to color. And by the early 80s, black and white TV sets have been pushed into niche markets like low power uses, small portable sets. And by the way, a lot of people did have small portable sets. College students would get these little 13-inch black and white sets to use while they were in school. I had one. A lot of people did. And you'd see a guy with a little lunchbox-sized TV, and he'd take it camping or something like that to watch the ball game, honey. And these black and white sets were still compatible with the color signals and remained usable through the 90s and even up to 2008, when all American broadcast television switched to digital standard. You can't use an old analog TV to watch TV over the antenna anymore. You have to get a conversion box. And in fact, in 2008, the FCC, if you wrote them a letter and requested it, or requested it on the internet, they would send you a voucher for one of these little boxes. I have 2 of them. And if you can find a Sony Trinitron, Jared was here earlier and was talking about his Sony Trinitron. If you can find a Sony Trinitron with a big screen and you don't have a lot of bread, you can pick up the TV for nothing. You get one of these converter boxes, which is $40 or something like that. You got a heck of a TV, because it takes that digital signal and converts it into analog so that it can show on that television. Now, be prepared. The TV is going to be super heavy, and it's going to have a huge back end. It's not a flat screen, but the picture is killer. It's really, really good. I had one of those until I moved in 2019, and I just didn't want to move the set. Had a DVD player and a VHS in it, and I had the converter box, and the picture was amazing. So, if you know somebody and they don't have a TV and they don't have a lot of money, and you can pick one up for dirt cheap on eBay or Craigslist, that's a way to go. That's a way to go. By the way, that digital thing happened in 2009. There we are. One of the last television stations in North America to convert to color, WQEX in Pittsburgh, started doing it in 1986 after its black and white transmitter from the 50s broke down and the parts to fix it were not available. So there you are. That's the last station, the last holdout. So anyway, that's really all I have to tell you. I'm going to show you a few more things just for grins. If you want to really know how that tube used to work, there it is. It was basically the control grid. That's what modulated the power. A heater, which is what got that projection to be hot enough to excite the fluorescent screen that you see over at the far right. There was an electron beam. That's a beam of electrons that they would shoot at that screen. And it would excite those phosphors or the fluorescence. A focusing coil is there. That's just something that makes sure that the modulation of that ray is not out of whack. Deflecting coils, which deflected the signal back into the it's a big thing. It's a big thing. So there you are. There you are. Do I have any other photos? No. Marshall McLuhan, Tom Gulley, is very pleased. Extremely pleased with that. I'm just saying. Let's get to some of your comments real quickly. I want to thank the good folks at StreamYard for this new system here. Look at that. Look at that. I go from one to the other, and it takes me to the thing that I don't want. Just absolutely. They're supposed to be helping. They're not helping. We've been doing it one way forever. Watch, I'll get rid of this picture, and I'll go to this full screen. That makes sense. And then I'll put a picture up. And in the old days, you would have had me with this screen, but now it reverts to the other one, and I hate them. $44.99 a month, friends, and that's what I get. Coach Mike is here. He says, hello to all my friends in chat. Oh, hey, Tom. Oh, by the way, we're halfway through the show. Please like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. Do all of those things, and I mean all of those things that you can do for free. Please share it on your Facebook, your TikTok, your Meta, your whatever, your Twitter. Help us grow the show, please. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit that like button. Some people say smash that like button. I think that's a little violent. I wouldn't do that. Don't do that to your like button. Please click on your like button. We'd appreciate that. Doesn't cost anything. Helps us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. Plus, we have super chats. We have memberships. It costs you a little money, but you're supporting the show. A little something for the effort. Helps us pay the bills around here. Helps me pay for that $44.99 a month for this great service. Thank you, StreamYard. And then lastly, if you look at the crawl at the bottom of the screen, you will see a way to turn on your gifted memberships. Occasionally, people do gift memberships to this program, so you can get that exclusive members-only content that we do on the weekends with stuff that's not even as good as this to show. Victor says, very interesting, Tom. Thank you. Coach Mike says, some black and white programs are better than the color version, like Andy Griffith. Yes, I agree. I agree. The Rifleman, please. Victor says, I'm thinking Magnavox brought on color TV. Well, there was Quasar, which I think was a Zenith product. There were a bunch of very sort of high standard. Zenith was a company, RCA, Sony got involved at a certain point, made the Trinitron, which was super high quality color. So throughout, I remember I think it was Zenith that made the Quasar. They had the TV commercial, Quasar. It was a very distinctive commercial. But Magnavox, yes, Victor was one of those companies. And Victor says, we had an old Sylvania black and white TV. Interesting that you mentioned that, Victor, because our family had a Sylvania. The screen was like yay big. It was very small, but it was portable. It was a small television, and that black and white was pristine. It was crisp. It was crystal clear. And when you turned it off, and by the way, a lot of the black and white and older, even color TVs did this. When you turned off the TV, the picture would go like kind of shrink really fast, and there would be a little dot that would glow. It would be there and it would glow for like 30 seconds until it faded away. And that's what those phosphors were. Just because there was no more signal didn't mean that those excited phosphors on the screen weren't still glowing. Kind of a thing. Mike Rodick says TVs back then were considered furniture. This one isn't even as furniture-y as they got. But Mike's exactly right. There were these large entertainment centers. They've actually become popular again. People are buying them and then putting big screen. They take out the television portion, put the big screen in there. And then it had cabinets on each side and a record player on the top. You'd slide open the top of it, but it was like a big credenza or a piece of furniture. You're exactly right. And they were heavy. A lot of them were super high quality furniture. Victor says, yes, Coach. Gene said, we had a thing to put over the black and white TV to make it look kind of like it was color. Yeah, they would sell these plastic covers that you could put on the front of your black and white television that would sort. It was they were kind of iridescent. They weren't really full color or anything like that, but they would give a little color here and there, depending upon the intensity of the black and white picture. So yes, those were used by people. Yeah, those were kind of cool. Victor says, I had a big Trinitron, super heavy, like 100 pounds. Great picture, though. Yeah, I did too. Some friends of mine were going to toss it out. I remember when digital television came along, I was so mad because not only did I have, naturally, the big color TV like everybody else, but I had a bunch of, and I bought them from people all the time. Get this, back in the early 2000s, you could buy, gosh, do I still have one here? I might still have one because I do have the converter boxes, but it was about as big as a softball, and it had a 5-inch TV screen on it. Okay, so if I was sitting here at my desk working on the computer and didn't want to stream stuff and wanted to watch over-the-air broadcast television of a baseball game or live news or something of that nature, I could just set that on. It would take batteries. You could plug it in. It was a 5-inch TV set, $19.99. Black and white, but under $20. It also had AM and FM radio on it, and some of them had weather bands. And I got them one year. It's probably 98. I got them for everybody for Christmas. They were thrilled with them. They were wonderful gifts. Well, in 2009, they were obsolete because they wouldn't accept a digital signal. But that's how cheap black and white TV had become. Incidentally, the picture on this little 5-inch black and white television, killer. And Gilman says Curtis Mathis. Oh, yes, Curtis Mathis was known as being super high-end. That was a super high-end TV. That you spent some dough for that, Daddy-O. You spent some bucks for that. Let me see, 5-inch black and white TV. Let me see if I can find some images of these little TVs that they sold. I've got one right here. Right here. I'm gonna show it to you. It's on eBay. I'm gonna show it to you. Come on now. Be good to Daddy. Be good to Daddy. Come on now. Show me where your mama lives. Boom. I think I can get this up to a pretty full screen here. Now come on. Okay, I'll have to do a little elfin magic, but I am gonna show you this as soon as my computer cooperates. Just a little bit. Oh, now come on. There we go. Maybe that's going to help me out a little bit. All right, let me show you. I'll show you. I'm sure that StreamYard, with all my new features, will help me out on sharing this. This isn't the model that I had, but it is the. Thank you, StreamYard. Thank you so much. This is not the model that I had, but this was also one of those things where they were all identical looking. You could get them from a number of manufacturers, but they were the exact same TV. But that's the little 5-inch black and white TV that you could get for $20. See the antenna? And you could watch whatever channel. Now, that little dial on the right-hand side, you didn't have like click channels like you did on the early TVs. When I was a kid, nobody had a channel changer, a remote. Nobody had one of those. They didn't exist. You had to walk over to the TV and turn the channel. Well, that was like a click, 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 click. The channels were preset. These, you had to sort of dial them in like an old school radio and get the signal as perfect as you wanted, which wasn't always bad because it helped you tune in channels that you might not otherwise get with your antenna. You could get them in just perfect. But anyway, those were really cool. I'm just saying those were really cool. They were really, really cool. People like them. Victor says now, flat screen TV, excellent color picture, 5 or 10 pounds. Yeah, they're very, very light. And the television that we have now, the digital broadcast television, is always going to be perfect in terms of the fact, in the old days with analog, people would talk about getting snow on their picture. You would get a picture, and because it was analog, if it was a little too far away or something, you'd get the majority of the signal, but you'd also get a lot of noise. You'd get a lot of things that weren't the actual broadcast signal. Now that it's a digital signal, you either get that frozen and breaking up pattern. It's basically all or nothing. Or you get pristine, in a lot of cases 1080, perfect digital picture over the air. So that's a cool thing. That's a very cool thing. Anyway, that's all I got to tell you really about the invention of color television. I know it bored a lot of people. I know this will not be what we call a ratings blockbuster, but it is a look back into the evolution of television and a reminder that there are people my age, and I'm not 100, that remember a lot of black and white television being around. We in our family had a television when I was the very first television I can remember, had a decent sized picture, was not a small picture, and it was largely portable. Even though it was super heavy, it wasn't like set into a piece of furniture or anything like that. So that you would lug it into the kitchen and they watched shows, Today Show or whatever, and then you'd lug it back out into the living room and plug it in. It was a somewhat portable deal. I remember coming home from school one day, or it might have been from playing out, it was very cold. I remember that. And I came home, and this is another thing about the color TVs. There was a guy there delivering our color television. This was a pricier item, delivering them. And TVs were kind of delicate back then. They had tubes in them. And if one of the tubes went out, if your picture all of a sudden turned green or whatever color, that meant one of the 3 color tubes had burned out. What would you do? You'd unscrew the back of the set. It usually had a fiber board back of the set with little clips on it. You'd undo the clips. The fiber board had holes drilled in it to vent the heat. You'd take that off of there, and the tubes, it would just say color on the base of the transformer that the tubes went into. And you could take the tubes to a grocery store, certainly a hardware store, and they had these units called tube testers. You'd take that tube and you would test it to see if it worked. It gets better. In the bottom of the tube tester were replacement tubes. You'd look at the number on yours, find the corresponding number in the box. You'd get a new tube, pop it in, bam, your TV's fixed. Now, TV repairman used to be a big job you could get. Nowadays, if your TV fritzes out, they just tell you buy a new one. If it's covered by the warranty, they give you a new one. Back then, being a TV repairman was a legitimate, well-paying job, very well-paying job. And many times, if not all times, you had to take your set and they'd come. Well, first of all, they'd come to your house, they'd check it out, and they'd either fix it right there or you'd hear the dreaded words, "I'm going to have to take this back to the shop." No TV. And that would take some time. You might not get your TV back for a while. You just might not get your TV back for a while. Let me see if I can find a tube tester picture for you from back in the day. Retail. Let's see. Let me see. Retail tube tester. Now let me see if I can get that. Come on. Let's see. Retail tube tester in store. I'll put retro. See if I can find one. Images. Come on now. Show me one. Oh, here's one. There's a couple of them here. Well, that looks like this is another eBay one. Let's visit that. Let's see if I can show you a little bit about this one here. About this in here. Let me show you this one here. This guy's trying to sell one, so it's going to have a lot of schmutz on it in terms of what you're able to see. But let me share the screen real quick with you, and you will see that you would go to the store, and this is what you would see. You'd get to see the old tube tester, and you'd put your tubes into that thing, test it. There you go. And this is a sort of a desktop model. This isn't one of the ones with the cabinet underneath it. So it would tell you whether it was bad or if it was good. Oh my God, royalty is in this room. Royalty is in this room. Oh, wow. One of my favorite people on earth. Man, Nancy Carlson, who taught young Tom Gulley how to learn broadcasting and stuff. I actually already knew all this stuff when I got to college. And this poor woman, I tortured her so much. She was very unfortunate to have me as a student. She said, good memory. Yeah, well, you taught me well. You taught me well. I'm calling you Dr. Carlson. I don't even know if you're a doctor. She was the department head of the TCOM department. Let me tell you Nancy Carlson's story. I went back for homecoming. It's got to be 6, 7, 8 years ago. And I was staying in the Ball State Hotel in the student center. They have a hotel there. And I'm staying there for homecoming. And the windows are open. Of course, we had a suite. And the windows are open. I hear this voice and I go, that is Nancy Carlson. I looked out the window and by God, it was Nancy Carlson. And we talked in the stairwell for 5 minutes. There you go. I have one of the, I have a test. It wasn't a test. I had her for audio production. And so we had to do these radio programs and things, sample radio programs. And I have one of the, sort of the papers that they would fill out. And I remember that during the critique, I probably got miffed, and I called her Nance. And when I got it back, there was a big 0 scrawled on it, and it said, for calling me Nance. And then on the back of it, it gave me my real score. It was very funny. And also, one of my things, because I went to a high school, Carmel High School, that had a complete radio program. So I already knew how to do all the stuff. And I helped a lot of my classmates out. And she wrote a thing about that I had helped my classmates, which, as you all know, because you watched the show, is totally against my nature to help people. Absolutely against my personal nature. I wish that they had one of these that had the actual display that you could see in a store, because you could see that there was a little cabinet underneath it that they would sell the replacement tubes. Let me see if I can find one of those for you real fast here. Well, obviously I'm not going to find it because I've already done away with the yeah, I'm not going to find it. Not going to find it. Anyway, that's good enough. I can't tell you everything. I'm not God. All right? Wow, Nancy Carlson came to my show. Geez, that made my week. I don't care that this particular episode of the Tom Gulley Show is going to be radically more unwatched than all the other unwatched versions of my show. It's if she was still commenting, I would tell her, hey, you know what? You can pick the next topic of the show. And before you do that, though, you have to realize I don't just do TV and broadcasting stuff. We do a lot of it, but I've done shows on ingrown toenails. It's really a show where any topic, and incidentally, I am looking for a topic for tomorrow. There you are. There you are. Let's see here. Let me get back to where I was. Wow, Lost in Space. Not black and white anymore. No. The first season of Lost in Space was actually filmed in black and white. The next 2 seasons were in color. Victor says, And nice to have you here, Victor. Back in the day of the doctor home visits. Yes, it was back in that day. Nancy Carlson. She's probably not here anymore. She probably left because I didn't get to her comment quickly. Oh, no, there she is. All right, so let's see here. It's early, getting tired, may hit the hay. I have seen the tube testers. Thank you, Victor. Doopa-doo is here, says hello, Tom, and chat. Always a pleasure to have Doopa. The Wolf, Kim Warfield, another proud graduate of Ball State. He has donated $4.99. We thank you so much for your donation. And, of course, for that, you're getting the point. Not only are you going to get the point, you're getting the... Well, actually, that's the full point. I'm going to take the banner off. That makes it even more exclusive without the banner. There you are. How about that? Always like it when the Wolf's here. That's always a pleasure. Let me get this thing back to the regular size. Let me also get something else up here so you don't have to look at my ugly face. How about Marshall McLuhan, Tom Gulley? Huh? Let's see. How about Galumbo? You guys want to see Galumbo today? There he is. There he is. There's Galumbo. Sure. That's me right there. Let's get some more of your comments. Victor says, I worked in a hardware store, had to check the radio tubes sometimes. Yeah, of course. People saying hi. We do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, as verified by independent sources. Nancy Carlson says, I thought you were going to say lie, that I was a member of the SDS in college. All I know is you occupied an administration building on the campus of a major Big Ten university, and I think you were I don't think you were part of SDS. I think you were a key member of the Weather Underground. That's always been my story. You're better than that. You're way better than SDS. Students for a Democratic Society. Incidentally, we have done a show on the Weather Underground, if anyone's interested. If you're at this YouTube, if you go to my YouTube page, you'll see we do a show on nearly anything. And yes, someone in this show right now may say, hey, would you do a show about fish hooks? Yes, I will do a show about the history of fish hooks. I have no problem doing that at all. And if nobody comes up with a topic, I might do one about the invention and the history of fish hooks. I did nail clippers. Why wouldn't I do fish hooks? Doopa says, Tom, what about Nancy Carlson as a guest? Oh my God. Please. I don't know that I have the money for that. Nancy Carlson is a guest. Look, my people will talk to her people. Well, she could tell you what I was like in 1982, maybe? Back then, I was a real wiseacre. That I can tell you. We had to create our own radio series. It was like a 3-minute thing, the idea for like a 3 to 5 minute radio show, or maybe it was even 1 minute, that you would, ostensibly give out to radio stations, because radio stations played a lot of little quick formatting like that. And I did one. I remember to this day, I probably still have it. The scripts and stuff. I saved all of that stuff. I still have all that stuff. And mine was called The Midnight Flicks, and it was about cult movies. It was about movies that they would show late at night at movie theaters. So there you go. And I got an A. Pretty sure I got an A in advanced audio production. And when I took it, it was called Radio, Television, and Motion Pictures. It then later became telecommunications, and now it's the Department of Media. The Wolf says, I still have a TV with tubes. I can get weird channels on it. I bet you can. That one channel that just looks like snow. Weird channels, yes, but weird. Oh, she's Angela Javis's first cousin. I think she hangs out with Bernadine Dorr all the time. That's what I think they still get together. And when they have tea, they have tea. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think. The Wolf says, and by the way, she knits caps. Not stocking caps, but like caps like you'd wear to sell newspapers on the corner in the 1930s. Extra, extra, John Dillinger escapes prison. That kind of cap, only they're knitted, crocheted, whatever. I think she does that. And then she sells them for some worthy cause. Wolf says there's enough power to knock me back to Birdland. Birdland, of course, Ball State University. How about a show with Dupa as a guest? You know, I could have lots of guests, and I have in the past. Nancy Carlson would be a great guest, though. Not that much older than me, really. Nancy was the cool professor. Well, her and Wes Gehring. They were the cool professors because they were younger. The rest of our professors, it was a mausoleum. Dr. Alexander, please. Come on. Let's see here. I remember the Pet Rock. I could do a show on the Pet Rock. I do shows on all sorts of weird stuff. I might as well. You know, we had a professor that was a Christian Scientist, and his wife died. I think he had another wife 2 days after she died. It was the creepiest thing ever that I've ever seen. And he was analysis and criticism I took from him. He's quite a guy. Victor, are they fond memories of your Pet Rock? Was it housebroken? Or were there little pebbles around the place? Sort of. Anyway, I'm trying to think of some other stuff from back in the day. Yeah, Nancy Carlson is a wonderful person, and there are thousands of students that have benefited from her kindness and her interest in their careers. And she's a great communicator and a fine broadcaster. The writer, producer of a few very, very good documentaries. Just incredibly good documentaries, and probably the overseer of hundreds, if not thousands, well, certainly be thousands of projects on the part of students at the finest broadcasting school in the world, Ball State University. So fine, it's here on my ring. Wait, let's see. It's on my ring. Hold on. There it is. Bachelor of Science. See the little half circle that says broadcasting and the satellite-y thing and stuff? Yeah. It's weird that they have it say broadcasting, since that's not what the department's called, but we sold Pet Rocks in our store. We also had Dr. Darrell Weibel. You know, Tom, I noticed the pencil you're using is a little shorter than I'd like to see it. Let's just say he was particular. I guess if you want to get by with that replacement eraser on the end of your pencil, I myself would just go out and get a whole new pencil. You know, Tom, I never thought I'd need 13 microphones till one snowy night in Corridon when 12 microphones froze up when I was broadcasting the Corrigan and New Albany football game. But I had a 13th. Okay, I got you. All right. Try the decaf. The Wolf says, just a thing, I thought it was weird, like the Rubik Cube. Well, we had a lot of weird stuff back in the day. I'm not going to deny that. We had a lot of weird stuff back then. The Wolf says, the Pet Rock and I had pizza sandwiches together. Now you're making me hungry. Anyway, well, that's all I have to tell you, really, about all that. Oh, you want me to open up the phone lines? Okay, I'm going to open up the phone lines, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll let you know when they're officially open. By the way, like, share, subscribe, retweet. We got to grow this baby. We've been really doing well. We're you know getting a little more every day. That's the way you do it. And if you could like and share and subscribe and retweet, it doesn't cost you a farthing. It doesn't cost you a penny. And that helps us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. Plus, we have those super chats. The Wolf has been nice enough to contribute. And the memberships, get one of those memberships, because we do exclusive content only for the members on weekends that are more vulgar, let's just say, than this programming. Yeah, more vulgar. And also sign up for gifted memberships. Rumpled Trenchcoat could come in here at any second and give out 5 gifted memberships. You could be one of them. For free. For free. Victor says, I need to hit the hay. Victor, nice to have you here. Thank you for being here. Dupa says, have a good night, Victor. That's because we have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, as verified by independent sources. Victor saying thank you because we're not only cheerful, but cordial. All right. Open up. Do my bidding. Takes a second for the phone lines to open, folks. Why? Thanks, StreamYard. StreamYard bestowed a new feature on me today that I haven't tested. It's called Scenes. Scenes. So basically what it is, it's the same thing that we've always had, only they have a different name for it. And the thing that we had now doesn't work. By the way, our phone lines, are open at 972-994-6822 if you care to call in. And to cost me or say a really bad word and hang up. Some of you, I know. And by the way, if you don't think that I know when I do a show like this show, that it's not going to do as well as the show on Bigfoot or disco or some other thing, you're crazy. I do this because it's interesting. By the way, there's Patty Naismith, star of the first broadcast color television. Oh, yeah. Telechrome over in England. Good old Patty Naismith. Look at that picture. And why, when they're testing out color TV, is the test always a lady with red hair? What's up with that? Coke Zero, official sponsor. Loves me the Coke Zero. Now's your chance to call in, Dupa. We ask Dupa to call in all the time. She's never calling in. It's never going to happen. She sees how gently... Okay, what's Pot Awful doing? Pot Awful an hour ago started a show called... you're going to have to listen to it for a second.
Gentlemen of YouTube, okay?
What's it called?
And happens to be black. No big deal.
It's called Let Me Tell You About Bigfoot. He's what is he doing? What is that man doing? I'm telling you what, I'm going to his channel right now. I'm not going to broadcast his channel. I'm just going there and I'm going to ask, "Hey, what the hell's up with your title?" I am going to say, "What the H is up with your title?" Okay, Pod Awful. I'm going to say, "What are you doing?" Hey, man. Okay, get ready because it's going to be sound for just a second, but I'm going to cut it off. I'm not going to screen snipe.
It was all Pod Awful. We did this.
Okay, I had to stop the broadcast. Oh, it's subscribers only mode. All right, I got to open up another screen. For the love of Mike. For the love of Mike. Okay, let's see. YouTube. Come on. He's titled his shows, Let Me Tell You About Bigfoot. Don't, dude, you're bogarting my shtick. You shouldn't be bogarting my shtick. Please. Bogarting my shtick. I'm going to just put into his chat room here. I've got the sound turned off, so we're groovy on that count. And I was in incognito. You don't want to know the technical part of it. Dude, I see your title. You're bogarting my shtick. There. Yeah. I could listen for just a second. There's no way for me to call. If you guys really wanted me to, I could go into Discord right now and get on his show.
All right, let me pull.
Well, he's watching another show. He probably won't even look at his chat. I'm not going to mess with it right now. I'll go on there after I complete this show. Although, from a broadcast quality standpoint, it makes a lot more sense for me to go, over there right now. Let's see. Are you seriously complaining about redheads? No, I'm not. This is blasphemy. I know how you feel about that. Dupadoo says, I laughed at your comment. He's bogarting my shtick. All right, let me max out my computer right now. I'm going into their Discord. And I'm not going to put it on the screen, but you will hear the audio. Oh, no, you won't. Eesh, I don't have Discord in my... Oh, see, this is a real test of my skill as a broadcaster, because I've got to add another source here. And Discord really jacks with all my settings and everything else, but let me go ahead and, well, there it is. Discord. Did it add it? Yep, it did. It added it. Check 1, check 2. Yep. Oh, God. It's just Discord just completely jacks with my stuff. I'm going to go into his show. I'm going to go into his program. I think I can do that here. Let's see here. Where's the voice channel? On air. Here we are.
About
I'm in the wrong section. Here we are. Let's see if I can make this happen.
Of weird
And
shit.
I will be donating to the NAA PPC or whatever it's called now.
I remember one time you reviewed an Intel product.
Which somebody's got to do something about that N.
Oh, hey, Tom.
Oh, speaking of doing something about that N, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Gulley.
Do you mind that you're on my
Welcome, Tom.
Do you mind that you're on my show right now and I'm on your show right now?
No, I don't give a flying. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so, dude, you're bogarting my shtick.
How so?
The title of your show.
They can call him Mr. Gulley, though.
What's the title of my show? Tom, I don't title my episodes. What's the title?
It's Let Me Tell You About Bigfoot, which was my show's title yesterday, and your giant corporate monolith will, of course, show up much higher in the algorithm and completely eradicate me within the shadow of your greatness.
When people go to search for this episode, yours will be number 2 right there.
Yes, number 2 is what my show is all the time, if you know what I'm saying, but... I just couldn't help but notice. I was telling people about your show on my show and complimenting it, and then I see this dude's bogarting my shtick.
Well, in fairness, Tom, I was there live for your Let Me Tell You About Bigfoot episode. And as a big squanch hunter, I couldn't believe the disgrace and the absolute vitriol you were throwing out at my beloved cryptozoology mascot, Bigfoot. My second favorite cryptid, by the way, after, of course, Catan. Bigfoot is, for me, I said this in your chat room. I hope if you were there for this, I hope people don't mind if I repeat myself here a little bit, but Tom was really talking smack about Foot. And, Bigfoot's a lady. And the way I was raised, where I grew up, you don't say the kind of stuff you were saying about women. All right?
Wow.
She's a big, beautiful, breasted woman.
Well,
Bigfoot. The Patterson Gimlin
right.
film, of course. Patty, we call her. Patty in the biz, we call
Right.
that
And
particular foot.
maybe with child also. A lot of people think with child.
Yes. Hopefully my child. I hope I one day discover
Yes, and
I believe Big Feet can travel time, traverse time. I believe it's one of their mystic mountain powers that all creatures of cryptid nature do possess. And you were saying, oh, it's not real. It's obviously a gorilla. Okay, Tom, go find me that costume. I'm sorry, if that's a costume, it is the greatest Bigfoot costume ever. The Patterson Gimlin Bigfoot Patty, the greatest Bigfoot costume ever made, and that includes Harry and the Hendersons, everybody, which is the second greatest, obviously.
I agree with you. It is
Maybe the greatest costume of all time.
It is a great costume.
It's not a costume, though. You can't listen. It doesn't make any sense for it to be a costume. Obviously, these guys that were out just happen to be shooting their own Bigfoot movie. They see a real Bigfoot.
What are the odds?
Where are you going to? What are the odds? They're 100% if you are trying to make an authentic Bigfoot movie and you go to the place where Bigfoot lives to shoot your movie.
So, yeah.
Oh!
Yeah, Bigfoot probably.
Did you even fucking think of that, Tom?
Bigfoot probably saw the casting call in the trades and figured I'll just go ahead and show up since they're shooting a movie.
Hey, the stuff you say is so disgusting. I had to turn the tables and I had to do my own. And I went squatch hunting recently.
Squatching?
Squatching. And I will be showing my own P.S. Gimlin film very soon here. At the end of the show, I will be showing my own capture on camera, and it's going to blow people's socks off. And I can't wait to hear your excuse for this one. Oh, it's just a guy in a Mersh costume. Okay, Tom.
What about the Peter Gaines video?
Peter Kane.
Kane, that's
Peter
it.
Kane is he's a magnificent squatching sort of guy. He has the frozen corpse of a real Bigfoot, and he shows it on camera. He's got hundreds of videos on YouTube where he shows it off. He's got the frozen severed head, the whole body. You can see the lips, the articulation of it all.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's true. It was mummified in ice or something at some point, and it's truly amazing. Let me see if I can find
No, it
that.
was shot in 1953. His grandfather, somebody shot it, according to him. And no mummification. The hair is still pristine.
Well, it's on ice. He put it on ice. So I'll show you the head. And Tom has the fucking...
The Animal
Oh, here we go. It's a video. Tom has the fucking nerve to talk shit about Bigfoot after seeing incontrovertible evidence.
One of my viewers has said Tom's talking smack about the paper mache third grader made figure on a wagon.
Okay, well, fuck that guy too.
Oh,
Look at
hey,
The Animal
hey.
Planet show, Finding Bigfoot, is a joke. It's a horrible show, and it's derogatory to the Bigfoot community. This is a fact.
It's right. So how are you going to say this is not? It's right there in front of your eye. What do you think? This is AI? This video
No,
from
it's
like
not
10 years
AI.
ago. This is that's from 2021. AI wasn't that good back then.
Yeah.
It's about entertainment. It is not about science. It isn't. They make it very clear. It's all about them going in the woods and talking BS. They're talking about.
Oh wait,
stuff
I can't have this on my show. Hey, I'll come back later. I'll get the whole copyright
no, we're talking
thing.
about it's commentary. That's not a copyriright problem.
No,
That's
yeah,
commentary. It's called fair use. Tom.
Yeah, I know, but
Fair use.
yeah. I actually just for showing the Patterson Gimlin yesterday on Facebook where I stream, I got a A&E thing. They're gonna share
Well, they don't own it.
share my
They
revenue.
Don't own it. That's bullshit. They don't own that shit. That's bullshit. They don't own
Yeah, and so then I just took them down off of Facebook since I make no revenue there anyway. Ha! Take that, A&E.
Can't upload anything to Facebook without getting that. But listen, that obviously that was a male Squatch. That wasn't as beautiful as the Patterson Gimlin one. But I mean, the head matches up. The beautiful conical nature of the head matches up with Patty. And
Sure.
So how is it? How could everybody have the exact same? Every time they take a photo of a Bigfoot, there's never one. You know, with aliens, it's like, oh, the ship looks like an S. It looks like a cigar. It's a saucer. It's every shape, every pattern of lights, every alien. Oh, they're grays or they're green. They're tall. They're short. Meanwhile, Bigfoot, it's a big, hairy cone head with fucking big-ass feet and sweet-sucking titties. And no, it never strayed from the pattern when it comes to that. Why? Wouldn't one guy be like, oh, I'm going to put my stamp on Bigfoot. Actually, Bigfoot has 50 nipples. You know, there would be the Joel Schumacher of Bigfoot where they would be adding nipples to that shit. Or at some point, somebody would come along and put their own rubber stamp on the Bigfoot design.
No.
It's never happened.
All the Bigfoots are different. The Patterson Gimlin is different than this other guy's. His doesn't. Look, it's not real, man.
Please exit my laboratory.
All right, I'll be back later.
Because
right.
that is honestly too mean.
We'll see you later.
Hear out
All
loud.
right. Thanks for letting me on the show. Bye. All right, a little trip to see Jesse. He's bogarting my shtick. He was bogarting my shtick. You guys all saw him bogarting my shtick. Now, if anybody's going to bogart my shtick, I endorse Jesse P.S. can do anything he wants. He's a very, very talented, very funny man. Talking smack about the paper mache. Oh, yeah, that was it. Let's see. It is all about giving credit to grade school children for their fantastic creation of Bigfoot. You know, really, sometimes Jesse says things that are tongue-in-cheek. I'm pretty sure he does not believe in the Bigfoot. I hope he doesn't. Anyway, that's all we got time for. We didn't get any calls, but we did get to go talk Jesse P.S. for just a second. And here I am telling people how great his show is. And then I go and I see his show. Well, actually, I didn't. I looked down at my phone and I got a notification because I subscribed to his channel. And you should too. Pod Awful on YouTube, and go to podawful.pizza. There's a lot of great stuff there. Check out the Rufio Pheonix stuff, especially. Check out that stuff. It's Rufio Pheonix. And I see it's a YouTube notification on my phone, and it said, you know, Pod Awful, let me tell you about Bigfoot. And I'm like, what the happened to heck? Anyway. Hey, you guys are the greatest. I want to thank my good friend The Wolf for the $5 donation. It is highly appreciated. One more time, and I'll just keep harping on it. If you guys can like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, we desperately need it. We need you to post this on your Facebook page or your Twitter page or your TikTok page or your Instagram page, whatever. Just maybe once, twice a month. That's all we're asking to help us grow this little thing a little bit, okay? And it would just be nice. It's nice when nice people do things that are nice. I just think it's nice. Everybody here has been great. I'd like to thank our special guest star, Dr. Nancy Carlson, friend of Bernadine Dorn. I think. I have no proof of this. And wow, what a thrill to see Nancy. And, well, in the chat. And I should probably get her as a special guest. That's actually a pretty good idea. I should do that. She's a very, very knowledgeable lady. And fun. And she can give it right back as well as I can dish it out. So she's just a wonderful person. Anyway, with all that being said, I'm looking at that old clock on the wall, and it says, well, like the Reverend Al Green, it's time for me to get on up out of here. You do not have to go home, but you can't stay here, sadly. Sadly, you can't stay here. And with all that being said, the only thing left to say is, I don't know what tomorrow's show's going to be about, but it'll be really good. It'll be an event. I'm going to do a famous event that has occurred, something that's happened in history. Until next time, we'll see you next time.
Stop.